Secrets revealed, an epic fight scene, and a double death. Let's review the Season 6 final. Hello guys, welcome back to Wentworthlife. Now before we continue with this video, I have to warn you this video is going to contain massive spoilers from the season final. If you haven't seen today's episode, stop this video immediately, go and watch it and then come back. Okay guys, wow, what an episode. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So the episode begins pretty much where it left off. The police have entered Wentworth and they're starting to question Vera in regards to there being a body found, and the police are starting to, put the pieces together. In this episode, the body isn't formally identified. However, it's Joan Ferguson. I 100% believe it is Joan Ferguson. I think in the start of the episode, they said it was the same build, and they showed some photos that they had taken, and it showed scratch marks from the inside. So it's clearly Ferguson, which moves us on to the stalker storyline. Now, the stalker reveal happened quite early in the episode. Vera wanted to just be like, right, let's just meet, you win, let's meet face to face. And shock horror, or maybe not so much shock horror, it was Miss Murphy. So, Officer Murphy is standing at Vera's front door, and then she comes into the house. And she's looking a little bit worse for wear. She's looking a little bit rough. She looks like she's been rolling around in the bushes or something. But yeah, so she pretty much saying to Vera, I want the money. You have a day to give me the money. And Vera's like, I can't raise that amount of money. And Murphy is just like taunting Vera, and she's telling Vera what she did to her. And that if she doesn't get her the money in a day, then the photo goes to the police and the papers. So Vera's pretty much fucked. And Officer Murphy pretty much tells Vera, do not tell Jake or Will. This is just between us two. So Vera has 24 hours to find money for Murphy. At the same time, she's going to be, she's being questioned quite intensely by the police. But we'll move back to that in just a second. Sticking with the stalker storyline, later on in the episode, like a day later, Murphy comes back to Vera's house, and Murphy is suddenly shot in the head. So she collapses and dies instantly on Vera's doorstep, and the person who shot her was Channing. He comes running over and he's just like, woohoo, I've killed her. It was actually quite funny, guys. It's really comical. And then he looks at the dead body and he's like, oh my god, who is that? I shot the wrong person. And then he runs off. And what Vera does then is she actually grabs Murphy's phone and deletes everything from the phone before contacting the police. So, moving back to the prison, so the police are questioning all the officers about Ferguson's disappearance and possible murder. Obviously Vera, Jake and Will are quite worried. They've got to get their story straight. Things get very, very tense in the episode, particularly halfway through the episode. But Vera and Jake, manage to bluff it at this point. But then when it comes to Will's turn to questioning, he just says to Jake that I think I'm just going to own up and take the blame single-handedly. But then Vera rings Jake, I think. Oh no, actually, while Will's being questioned, the police run in and say there's been a shooting at Miss Bennett's. And then at this point, Will and Jake hatch a plan to set Chan up as the person who killed Ferguson. So what they do is they get all the digging material that they used and they store it at his his little box that he's living in by the seaside. So Channing ends up taking the blame for Ferguson's death. And when it's released on the news on TV, Vera seems genuinely shocked. But yeah, I don't think it's the last that we've heard at the end of this story just yet. Okay, so moving back into the prison, we've got the Ruby storyline. So Drago knows that it was Ruby that killed Danny Winter. She goes to Liz, gives Liz a note, and says, "You're Peter Worker, give this note to Marie." And then Liz is like, "I can't go today, it's too late in the day." And then a little bit later on, I think it's the following day, Drago goes up to Liz and she's like, "Did you deliver that note?" And Liz is like all confused. So Drago is obviously just really angry, and rather than wait to hear what Marie wants, what to be done, she decides to take on Ruby in a fight, because Ruby volunteers to join back into Fight Club, despite her aneurysm in the brain. Yeah, so there's going to be a fight, and Drago manages to be the new person that's going to fight Ruby. What Drago then does is she hatches a plan to get rid of Rita, so nobody can interfere. So she grabs Rita by knife and locks her in a kitchen cupboard. Luckily for Rita, Ali finds her and releases her just in time before the fight is about to happen. So Rita ends up going to Ruby and she's like, "I'm an undercover cop. I always knew you killed Danny Winter before I came in here. That is the main reason why I'm here." And she goes, "I'm going to protect you." So Fight Club initials, and Rita ends up taking Ruby's place in Fight Club, which then we are witnessed to one of the biggest fight scenes that we've seen since being Frankie. So this was a massive fight scene. It went on for quite a long time. It was very, very brutal. Rita even snapped Drago's arm. She smashed Drago's face over like a pole against a boiler, which caused it to break, and started shooting smoke out at everyone. It was really dramatic. It was fantastic. And then the alarm stops going off, and then the women start scattering out of the boiler room. And Drago is coming out of the boiler room with Rita still coming up to her. And Drago is still, even though she's battered, bruised, and got a broken arm, she is baiting Rita, saying Ruby's dead. So Rita knocks her to the floor, and this is right in the middle of the hallway, so everyone can see. And then she keeps goading her, even while she's on the floor. And Rita just loses it and just punches the hell out of Drago on the floor. Officers start running up to stop the fight, and Vera takes a tumble and she ends up banging her head against the floor, and I think she's knocked out for a little bit. But by the time the officers get to Rita, it's too late, and Miss Smiles checks Drago's pulse, but Drago is dead, eyes wide open. She is dead as a doornail. Obviously, Rita looks devastated. I don't think she was initially wanting things to go that far. So Rita is taken away to the slot with disbelief from all the other characters. And then she meets back up with her police friends who just end up dropping her completely. She's got a criminal mind now. She's just killed an inmate in front of everyone. She's no longer a police officer. She is a prisoner. So Rita's life has just literally crumbled, and now literally she gets taken away back to the slot, and she's screaming for Miss Smile. She's screaming to see Miss Bennett. She gets locked up, and Mari is still in the slot right opposite Rita's cell that she's put into. And Marie asks Miss Miles, "Hey, what happened? What happened?" And Miss Miles tells her that Rita killed Dragovich. And then the episode more or less ends with a tense face-off between Rita and Mari. And Mari she has the little USB dongle thing that she snaps in front of Rita. and the look that they give each other is intense. It was absolutely fantastic. And what we also learn is that Liz didn't end up giving Mari the note that Ruby killed her son, because Liz, obviously with her dementia, she's forgotten and she's got a little bit confused. So she's got her little memory box and she looks at the note and she just looks really confused and just puts it in the box. So that's obviously going to come back into season 7. But just going back to the memory box, how nice was it, guys, that Liz and Boomer were doing a little bit of reflecting on the past. They mentioned B. They mentioned that little babe, the little girl that was in at the start of season 1. Oh, it was really nice, guys. It was a nice little humble feeling. What we also learned in this episode is that Vera is still pregnant with Jake's baby. So she gets knocked out during the fight and she ends up going to hospital and Jake's there and the doctor's like, oh, she'll be fine and the baby's fine as well. So that's obviously, it comes to a shock to Jake and he has a little chat with Vera, declares his love for her once again and says he wants to be there, if you want them to be a family, and Vera's like, no, I'm doing this on my own. And, I did actually take an abortion pill, but I actually spewed it back up because I was punishing this baby because of you, and it's not the baby's fault. So Vera is still pregnant, guys, and by the time season 7 comes back, she'll be ready to drop. The only thing I didn't like about this episode, guys, was the lack of Kaz. She was barely in this episode. She was released from the slot and, back into population. She was back in her wing. She was looking after Liz. But that was pretty much it. She didn't play any part in this episode. She wasn't even there. That moment, the moment when Rita killed Drago, she wasn't even there. I mean, Ali and Ruby were there. But where the hell was Kaz? They just literally put Kaz on a bit of a back stool for this episode, and I'm not very impressed with that because Kaz has grown to be a fantastic top dog this season, and we just didn't see much of her. She didn't necessarily have to be part of a big storyline in the final episode, but I just feel she was wasted in this episode. So yeah, that's the only thing I didn't like about today's episode. Other than that, I think today's season final is the second biggest that we've had. I think the biggest season final we have ever had is season 3, which was the Wentworth fire. Nothing has topped that. But I do think as an episode as a whole, this was the second strongest. I know it's probably going to be an unpopular decision, as I have seen a lot of comments on Facebook of people being a little bit disappointed by the season final. But in my eyes, guys, what more did you want from the final? I mean, there was 2 deaths. There was an epic fight scene. We finally got to see Rita in all her glory. It was just great. And we got the stalker reveal, which, guys, it was predictable. We did work it out. We really did. But it was still good. Murphy was just being a little total bitch to Vera. They were great scenes, guys, and I thought it was a good season final. I do feel there's a lot of fans. I don't really like to call them Wentworth fans. There are people out there who are literally just Joan Ferguson fans. And in my eyes, those type of people are not Wentworth fans. They're just Joan Ferguson fans. And I've witnessed a lot of people bad-mouthing Wentworth as a season this year, all because of the lack of Ferguson, or the fact that Ferguson hasn't come back from the dead, and it's just like, get a grip, guys. The TV show is called Wentworth. It's not called the Joan Ferguson Show. So I do feel most people will agree with me about today's episode, but we've got a large amount of people who are the Joan Ferguson fans, they're not Wentworth fans, that will disagree with me. Anyway, guys, it has been a fantastic season. It really, really has. What was your favourite moment from today's episode? Let me know in the comments box below. What didn't you like about today's episode? Let me know. And also, guys, I am going to rate this episode a 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10, but the fact that the Stalker storyline was predictable, I'm going to take a point off. But other than that, it was a 9 out of 10. What would you rate today's episode out of 10? Please let me know in the comments box below. So there we have it, guys. The season has now finished. But don't worry, guys. I'm still going to continue to make videos on this channel. I will be posting videos a few times every single week, and as soon as we get spoilers, I will post them on here for you. So stay subscribed, guys. There's going to be a lot more coming. Season 7's already been filmed, so I should imagine we'll be getting Season 7 news a lot quicker than usual. So give me that thumbs up, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, then hit that subscribe button now, and I will see you next time.